Hello and welcome to this My Ocean Life video chat. I'm Nicola Gribbin, CEO and co-founder of My Ocean Life. If you would like to join My Ocean Life, our fast-growing online network for seafarers, simply go to myoceanlife.com. This is the second in our series on tips for job-seeking seafarers, and I'd like to welcome back Miranda Strawbridge.
Hello again, Nicola. Lovely to be here.
Hi. For those of you who didn't catch our first series, please do log on to My Ocean Life and watch it as well. So for those of you who haven't met Miranda yet, I'd like you to introduce yourself, please, Miranda, and share with everyone your years of experience working in the industry and what we're going to be talking about today.
Right. Well, I am Miranda. I got over 22 years in the maritime industry. I got my initial start in the maritime industry from Texas A&M Maritime Academy down here in Texas, so from way across the pond. And I've traveled the world working with different aspects of the maritime industry. Currently, I'm a consultant, and I've been working for the last almost 3 years with Mercy Ships, which is a nonprofit organization who take on seafarers to help run their ship, which operate as hospitals. But in general, as an expert in maritime industry, I've come across seafarers from every walk of life, from small inland push boats to the large ships, offshore supply vessels, jackup rigs, you name it. I have spoken with, I've worked with, I've helped to engage and hire and push through careers for all those various mariners. So I'm hoping today I can give a little insight from the most recent position, serving as a recruitment consultant. Just some pointers to help those seafarers out there hunting for their next venture in life.
Brilliant. So you're going to give us some tips on resume writing today.
Yes, because I see a lot of resumes and I see a lot of wonderful people that perhaps just haven't put the right foot forward to get that step in the door to be looked at. So these are some very basic tips just to give a little help.
Brilliant. That sounds great. You're passionate about working with the merchant fleet as well, aren't you?
I am. Well, you know, every country relies on some aspect of a port delivering or taking something to and from. And the only way that happens is with those seafarers. They're very, very important to the global economy.
So how can our seafarers and our members really, get the right attention to detail and get those resumes crafted so that the shipping operators want to employ them on their vessels?
Well, the first start is to make sure they have a good resume and to build it out with some key points that they can present themselves, because your first presentation, even as a seafarer, is not you, the person, it's you, the person on paper. So yeah, I'll just jump right in here. Some key elements.
Fantastic.
And these key elements are going to be very important for seafarers also. I encourage that they become members of My Ocean Life. And towards the end of this, I hope that, Nicola, you can give some guidelines on how these people can become members and how they can display their resumes with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some first key element is your name. You've got to build out your resume with an attention-getting header that's going to include your name and how they can contact you. You must have your email address, an email address that you actually are checking on a daily or weekly at least basis. You need to have your phone number for the region that you're in. You can name the country from which you are based. It's not a necessity per se, but it does help. But at the end of the day, they're going to see that on your certificates as well, where you're actually from. Make sure your name is bold. You can include your photograph, you don't have to. So after you do your header, big key is a brief summary. Who are you? How long have you been in the industry? You could mention your why you have a passion for being a part of the merchant fleet, and your current role with your goals to where you plan to succeed and excel to. A general summary of your skills. So for instance, I am Miranda Strawbridge. I've been in the industry for over 22 years. I have a passion for seafarers and helping seafarers in the merchant fleet. And with my current role, I have attention to detail. I have great ability for organization. I am willing to learn. I've got experience in managing teams on board, on shore. So just little brief mentions of your skills, because those will be detailed out in your career history. But having that quick capture summary, keywords that HR and other members of the team that are searching through resumes can find those key spots.
And that's important, isn't it? It has to be brief. You mentioned it needs to be brief because they will be looking through lots and lots of resumes. So you need to make sure it's eye-catching and there's not too much detail right at the top.
I would say that first paragraph could not be more than 5 sentences.
Yeah.
Really, it's not you're not writing a journal. You're just simply writing a quick statement of fact, brief summarization of you and what you're bringing to that table, so that they then know they can read further on down into it to find the details of all that and how you've acquired that and where you've acquired that. So after you've written your brief summary, chronological. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nicola.
I was going to say, what comes next then after the headlines? Yeah.
So when you're writing and building out your resume, you be sure that you have it in a chronological order. Your newest career position first, and working your way back in your history, and including in those little snippets. They have to be little snippets. It's who do you work for? How long have you worked for them? Where have you gone with that career? So if you're in that position as an able seaman, then you'll put in there that you're an able seaman. But if you've been in that company for 3 years and you've grown from a rating or an AB and you've gone up to a second officer or a second engineer, you need to chronologically put that also, that you've started here and you've worked your way up. So building backwards per job, but also building backwards from current to last companies. So it's almost a double set of chronologicals.
It's great to show that career progression as well.
Well, it is important because it shows that even if you had gaps in between, it's because you've been working on something. So if you took time out between jobs and you were just going back to school, you would list that as part of your career, that from this date to this date in between these 2 jobs, you were also continuing your education, and where you were continuing it. What was the purpose of that continuance?
Yeah.
Some HR companies like to see, some HR personnel prefer to see a spreadsheet also. So maybe instead of listing it out and spelling it all out, you could create a small little Excel spreadsheet that you can insert into it. Something that's easy for you to maintain. It keeps it nice and blocked and organized and within the margins of your page. And again, listing out the companies, listing out the countries that you've served. It might be interesting to an Aframax tanker company to know that you've actually worked on Aframaxes and where have those Aframaxes gone. So they have an understanding, you're familiar with the processes going in and out of those different ports, dealing with offloading or onloading cargoes. If you are able to, you should name the ship owners. So perhaps you worked with through an agency, but through that agency, you worked as a seconded employee to various different ship owners of different types, listing those out, being detailed but brief. Everything must be brief. The excessive detail can be taken later. It can be asked in an interview. It can be detailed in an interview. But your resume is the first pitch: summaries, brief, to the point, chronological, informative.
And what about certifications and qualifications and that kind of thing? They getting added or not? Absolutely.
You do not need to list certificates that are expired, that you're no longer carrying, that you have no need to renew and carry. What you need are listed out the current certificates with their current issuance date and when is their coming up expiry date. Because that is also something very key for a seafarer, for HR and crewing departments to be able to quickly reference and say, okay, this gentleman or this lady have 6 months left on this license. So we could work them for the next 3 or 6 months, but then we know in advance planning when they're hiring that they would have to come off and maybe do a renewal or go back to a class for something. So that's very important. And when you build that out in your resume, you're listing out, so your STCWs or whatever licenses you may have, your safety at sea, your security awareness, crowd management, any of those, you put them in order of the current, with the longest life on them.
Yeah.
So those expiration dates in chronological. If they don't expire, that's great. Put those after. So your first sets are the ones that will expire, and the order that they're going to expire, going from the from the soonest to expire to the longest from expiry to the non-expiring. And then once you've added those in little single line bullet point, what they are, where they're from, you want to then go ahead and scan that certificate. Scan them individually so that they're a PDF, preferably not a JPEG, a PDF, and they're in the order of which you've listed them. So when you do send your resume, you can send a PDF of your attached documents that match in that same order as what you've written on there. So it's very easy, and it doesn't make for trouble for the HR person or the crewing manager to review through and try to figure out, do you or don't you? Because the least amount of frustration to those persons is the quicker that you may find yourself in an interview.
Yes. Yeah. Brilliant. Sounds good. And then when you're looking for jobs, we've got a few jobs posted on My Ocean Life, but we're looking to grow that number. But there's other places that seafarers can look for jobs as well.
Absolutely. So you want to use that social media. You want to look, but you want to look first and foremost, recognize the companies that you are aware of and go directly to their websites. Most employers have an opportunities or a careers page or an open jobs listing button on their website. And that's going to be your first primary step.
So you're looking for the HR manager of the company that you want to work for?
Yeah. So if you research, for example, if you choose, I'm just going to pull one out because they're quite large. If you look at Mediterranean, so MSC, you want to go to their website. You want to find their careers page. See if they have an option for open opportunities to apply. If they do not, see if you can search around their website. Pick out if they have an email address specific to their HR department for applicants. If they don't have that, go online to your social media, use your LinkedIn, and see if you can seek out Maersk HR. From that, you may get the lineup of who that person is that's in charge. It may not be the most senior person in HR. It may be someone lower. And you can reach out to that person with a very short request. How do I apply for this job in this role with your company? Most HR personnel that are on social media will give you an email address or give you a directive to their website where you can find the link for uploading your resume.
Brilliant. And then in terms of references, is that something you would put on a resume at the beginning, or would you wait to see if someone wanted to interview you and then maybe offer up references at a later part of the stage of going through the employment process?
I'm a fan of always having it available on the resume. Just the person's name, what the company is that they work with, and how they're a reference. Were they a colleague? Were they a manager? Were they an HR contact? Were they the CEO? You never know. So best to have at least 3. Desirably, those 3 are one above you, one in line with you, and one below you that are the most current referrals. But you could also still have a 4th one that might be a historic reference, and you could put that down as your character reference. So you have a job reference, you have a personal reference, you have a character reference. Somebody who's worked with you and understands your ambitions on the job, your capabilities of quick learning, and spell that out with that reference. A little notation next to it, what type of reference it is. I've seen people have put reference and it's their next door neighbor. Next door neighbor doesn't really benefit you in a job.
So the great thing there is you can be a reference for your seafaring friends, and they can be a reference for you when you've worked alongside each other. So because you need to check with them that they don't mind being named as a reference on your resume. So I think by offering up your own, your own ability to be a reference for other people, it helps.
Absolutely. It's a two-way street. So pay attention to your colleagues, pay attention to your management. It may be that person is a mentor, even if they're just working alongside you in the same rank. They may be somebody who will benefit your referral process in the review with HR. So make sure that you're available for them also. Offer that. Hey, could I have you as a reference? I'll be yours as well. But make sure that you get contact details that are accessible. If the person is constantly on an option where they're offshore, check before you submit that to a particular company, because you may need to note this person is a reference. However, they're on 3 months on, 3 months off, and may be difficult to find, or here's an email. It may take them 1 or 2 weeks to respond.
Yes, that's a good point. Very good point. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I guess as soon as an HR manager is interested in your resume and they want to reach out and connect with you, the first thing I guess in this day and age they're going to do is see if you're on social media and try and look you up and learn something about you before they speak to you.
Absolutely, Nicola. Absolutely. I can tell you from personal experience, even in my own career searching, and as a consultant looking out for opportunities, but also for when I've looked at seafarers, I want to know what kind of person they are, who they are. I've looked them up on Facebook. I've looked them up on LinkedIn. I've looked them up on Twitter. I've looked them up on Instagram, just to see who is this person? How is this person projecting themselves to the world? Because they're going to represent the company I'm working with or I'm hiring them for. So generally, an HR manager is going to do a little bit of research. If your resume looks great, before they call you, they're going to look and see, are you somebody who's posting all kinds of illegal or illicit things on your Facebook, on your personal accounts publicly? Do you represent a true seafarer, or do you represent a party animal looking for a paycheck? There are those things. Are you a good family person? They're not necessarily looking for a dating profile. They're not looking to see if you've posed with a kitty cat or a tiger or a puppy dog or all of your neighbors' children. They are looking to see, though, do you post about your company you work for? Do you take pictures, while you're in dock with your ship behind you and your shipmates with you? These are things that show that you have a passion for the organization that you're working with. So that brings you into that next step for them. Is this a person that I want to have in my employ?
And it's often called personal branding, isn't it? This whole, how do you put yourself in front of your, potential employers? And from a My Ocean Life perspective, it's something that we offer to do is share seafarer stories, if I get that out, but tongue twister, so that we can, spotlight our members and help them with that personal branding so that the recruiters can get to know them.
Absolutely. I mean, your website is amazing for that. So when somebody joins as a member, they can go on there, they can they can do their resume, they can do a little personal video blog and talk about themselves, tell about their passion. How did they find themselves in a career of a seafarer? And what gives them passion about being on the water, like all the members of My Ocean Life? You've all got a connection. What is the connection? And you can do that little video blog on there. But social media in general, you can connect. This is how you put yourself out there. You're selling yourself. So I definitely don't recommend anyone using their LinkedIn or their Facebook as a political platform. I don't recommend you using it as a religious platform. If you've had a bad experience with a company, leave it in the past. That was your experience with them. It doesn't necessarily need to go public. So, you did learn something must have been positive from it. If you want to talk about the company, only keep it positive. The negativity is for you personal. It's not a part of your brand. It's not a part of who you are representing in the seafaring industry.
So thank you so much, Miranda. There's some fantastic tips and pointers there for our seafarers when they're creating their resumes. We do have an area on My Ocean Life where you can fill in your resume and where you can print that off as a PDF for you. A completely free service. And of course, Miranda is part of our community. So please do reach out to Miranda and ask for any advice and guidance and watch both video series. This is obviously the second, so go back and watch the first one. And for the recruiters, please come and check out our seafarers.
I'm just going to add to that. Absolutely, highly encourage the recruiters and the HR and the general management of these seafaring companies. Whether you're a ship owner, you're an offshore supply vessel, a wind farm asset, all of these assets have seafarers. This is a great community to become a part of, where you can post stories about your company, where you're going and how you're growing, as well as join any of the other groups on Nicola's site, and certainly buy into that opportunity where you can post your jobs. Nicola's got a huge pool of talented seafarers that are looking for an opportunity, and this is where you'll find them.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time, Miranda, today. It's been fabulous. Thank you for joining us. And we look forward to the next in the series.
Very soon.
Any hints on what's coming next?
I think it's actually going to be the pointers on that application, how to apply, where when you're creating that application, how do you do it? And then I want to also say we're gonna kind of do a two-part on the next one. The first one is how to apply, and then we're going to go ahead and jump right in, maybe for the same video, or we'll share to the next, but about how to keep yourself active when you're in between, when you're searching for work.
Fabulous. We look forward to that one. Take care. See you soon.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. If you would like to upload your resume to My Ocean Life, simply go to Jobs, My Resume, as you can see here. And this is an example of what your resume would look like within My Ocean Life. The dive into My Ocean Life placeholder there is where your video blog that Miranda was talking about would appear if you decide to upload one. And we also have our fantastic careers group that you may want to join, where you'll also find part 1 in this series. We hope you found this video chat useful, and we look forward to welcoming you to My Ocean Life. Many thanks to our special guest, Miranda Strawbridge. This has been My Ocean Life video chat. Hope you've enjoyed it. Till next time, take care. If you would like to join My Ocean Life, our fast-growing online network for seafarers, simply go to myoceanlife.com. Music credits Ben Sound Adventure.